That game last night between the Steelers and the Patriots was stupid. It was a stupid game. It made no sense. Terrible play calling decisions, terrible decisions in general on both sides of the ball. Good morning, Perloff.
I didn't see it that way at all.
Okay.
I came away saying, man, Bailey Zappi can sling it. What if the Patriots had gone there early? They might have had a
they
chance.
might have 4 wins.
You're right. There are some weird things like why was Bailey Zappi not throwing the ball around the last, 8 weeks? Where was this Patriots offense, the first half offense? Where was that? And the Steelers, I just don't understand how are the Steelers this bad offensively. I understand the play calling, not ideal, but still, even so, maybe you credit the Patriots defense. It just seems like when the fans can call a better game than the offensive coordinator, you have an issue you have to look at.
This would make you long for the days of Matt Canada. And listen, I understand that you are down to your backup quarterback, but let's not pretend like Kenny Pickett was playing amazing anyway.
But I do think they win that game with Kenny Pickett. I mean, it's Kenny Pickett is Joe Montana compared to Mitchell Trubisky.
Trubisky stinks. But see, that's the thing, right? Where you have a team that is like, hang on, there is no way that anyone could have confidence in the Pittsburgh Steelers unless you're just going on reputation. And like, here's the thing about Mike Tomlin. How do you, with a coach like this, who's been entrenched for the last 16 years in the organization, how can you just say, well, it's a quarterback situation, the quarterbacks are terrible, it's not his fault? That's absolute crap. Of course it's his fault. And even if he's not a quote-unquote offensive genius or offensive guru, rather, and he's kind of more of a CEO type and came up on the defensive side, but also coach wide receivers, whatever. He's been on all parts of the football in his NFL career. The fact that Kenny Pickett, when he was healthy, wasn't developed, that they stuck around with the offensive coordinator as long as they did until the owner was forced to fire him. Let's not forget that detail. The fact that, yes, Mitchell Trubisky is bad. Why is Mitchell Trubisky continue to get developed? Why can't he win a bad game for you? Like, all of this to me, why was the play calling so stupid last night? How does that not fall on Mike Tomlin?
Well, because they were 7-3 when their quarterback got hurt. I mean, I think you're underestimating the Pickett injury severely.
7-3, 7-5,
or
7-4. They've lost
7-4. Sorry,
they've lost to 2 teams in 5 days that both came in with 2 wins.
Right, but the fact that Tomlin got them to 7-4 with a starting quarterback and was about to go 8-4 until Pickett got hurt, I think that speaks to there is something there with Tomlin. Like, Tomlin knows his roster and knows he has to be conservative. You add a quarterback to this team, they're a legit Super Bowl contender. So why would you break that up? All you need is a quarterback. That's all that's missing here.
Okay, but this is a head coach who's got a lot of power, right? So why don't you have a quarterback?
Because all right, so you missed a pick. It happens. It happens in NFL teams. And then Kenny Pickett is injury prone. Okay. It happens. You can't fire a coach because your quarterback is injury prone.
Well, I would say reverse this. Where were the decisions to move on from Ben Roethlisberger? Who was involved in that? Why does it...
Father Time was involved in that.
No, why did they move on sooner? Like, I don't know how many cooks were in the kitchen about that decision, but I imagine that Tomlin had to be one of them. And then here's the thing. You got to be on board with the first-round pick when it's Kenny Pickett, don't you? The coach, I don't think the coach was standing up saying, we don't want to take him.
Right, so...
Everyone's complicit. And then the coach hired an offensive coordinator who was a first-time play caller with no meaningful NFL experience whatsoever and decide to pair him with a rookie quarterback taking over for a legend.
Yeah,
Who thinks that's a good idea?
Well, it's worked before. Who knows? I mean, you could judge that as a bad idea. If they kept on winning, we wouldn't be talking about this. I mean, maybe Canada. That's a fireable offense for a guy who's won 1 million NFL games. And by the way, who's on pace to have a high seed in this year's playoffs. It's not like he's not winning games. He still has an even winning record now, right? Aren't they 7-6?
7-6.
Yeah, I just think that all this, yes, they screwed up certain things this year, but it happens. Teams get hurt. You don't just fire your coach. That's why the Steelers are the Steelers, because of continuity. Remember what Tom Brady said? You can't fire him over this. You give a quarterback to that team, and they are all of a sudden very dangerous. There's no way you would give up on all that.
Okay, so where are you finding this quarterback?
Yeah, I think you might be bad enough to lose out this year and draft one.
Man, I'll tell you what, that's a heck of a plan you got there, Perloff. I mean, that's a heck of a plan for a team that you picked to go to the Super Bowl. So either they're going to the Super Bowl or they're going to be so bad they're going to be in play for the number 1 pick. That is wild swing, dude.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild. It is I mean, look, is there a more wild swing than a 7-4 team losing to 2-10 teams at home? Has that ever happened in the history of the NFL? I'm sure there's a metric that shows no.
But think about it. Even when they were 7-5, right? Even they were 7-3. What were we saying about this team?
That was lucky.
Negative point differential, negative yard differential. It always felt flimsy. The record was there, and they were pulling out these wins that were just like miracle rabbits out of a hat. Or like in the case of the Ravens game, the Ravens dropped like 8 passes. They just got lucky, and it felt like luck was on their side. And you know what happens to luck? It runs out.
Well,
even for the vaunted and successful and well-regarded Pittsburgh Steelers, who've got Lombardi trophy after Lombardi trophy. But let's look at what's happening now, right?
But
you
here's the
are
thing.
on a mediocre trail.
Here's the thing. They look, when they fired Canada, things looked like they were getting better. So they had a very good game against Cincinnati. The final score was 16-10, but they got over 400 total yards. Pickett had a really good game. Pickett had a really good first half against the Cardinals before he got hurt.
Yeah,
he was pretty efficient.
What was the score?
It was 3-3, but they were about to go in. But they blew a couple scoring opportunities, but the offense looked smooth. It was actually moving up and down the field pretty well. And then it all fell apart. I mean, drastically when Trubisky came in. When Pickett got hurt, the defense lost their mojo too. They got depressed. It's all been bad.
Okay, well, that's another thing.
But this happens. Quarterback injuries happen to teams. It happened to even the best teams. If a quarterback gets hurt, your chances of winning go down drastically.
Okay, that happens, and you're right about that. But even as bad as Trubisky is, you can't tell me the delta, the change between Pickett and Trubisky is that big. This isn't Joe Burrow going down. This isn't,
It is. I can't explain why. Mitchell Trubisky is so bad.
Okay, but it's not that Kenny Pickett's great, though. See, that's the thing. You're not going
from a Hall of Fame. He is great compared to Trubisky.
No, he's not.
He really is. The last 2 games, the offense has looked really good with Trubisky, with Pickett, and has not looked good with Trubisky.
He looks better, but not great. I mean, that's the whole knock on Kenny Pickett, is he looks the same as year 1 as he does in year 2, maybe even a little bit worse. The other part, too, about this Pittsburgh team, and tell me if you guys noticed this last night, it's actually been a theme for a couple weeks, but we kind of don't address it because they were winning some of these lucky games, and hey, they're in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Could the body language be any worse on this team on offense? Holy moly.
Now, when Pickett got hurt, they went from feeling themselves to I'm telling you, watch the Cardinals. It was the Cardinals game where the body language started to fall apart, and then it just never came back for this game.
Remember when Deontay Johnson scrubbed his social media and nobody even paid it any mind?
Yeah, George Pickens had the issues.
Yeah, those guys are not team guys. So I'm not surprised.
Well, here's the thing. Those guys, you need those guys on board.
Yeah,
because they're 2 great receivers, by the way.
Great receivers?
I think George Pickens is a great receiver who is...
That's interesting.
What?
I don't know if I agree with that. I just think he makes a lot of circus catches. I'd be curious if what all his routes look like if you were watching all 22. And I know Deontay Johnson set the all-time single-season record for drops. He's the reason Ben had to retire. So Deontay Johnson talks a great game and is really good, but
he's wide open in the end zone, and they miss him.
I don't know. I'm not so sure these are great receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is a great receiver. You're saying Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are great receivers?
I think George Pickens has the ability to be a great receiver.
He looks like he is. I don't know, but I'll bet you that he is still developing as an overall receiver.
Okay, well, that's fine. We can agree on that. But here's the thing. That also comes down on the head coach. Because that body language and that loser energy on the sideline, that has to come from the head coach because you're not a loser franchise. You're not a loser organization. So the fact that either guys can get away with this or they're not on the same page or whatever has to go back to the head coach, doesn't it?
Yes, but a quarterback injury, I don't think you can underestimate going from Pickett to Trubisky. And I think also emotionally what it did to this team. It just gutted the team. I'm surprised that you are I would think Trubisky's been in the NFL long enough where he could win a game. Yeah. They know he can't. And I don't know why they know that, but they know it.
Okay, well then, again, all back to the head coach. If you really think Mitchell Trubisky is that bad, right, and he is that bad, I don't think Kenny Pickett's that good where it's such a big, drastic change. But if you think he's that bad, then put Mason Rudolph in the game. Do something. Yeah. Because they're doing nothing right now and expecting to win because they were having these miracle wins earlier in the season, and it's just not the same.
Well, they're expecting to win because Arizona and New England were in the house.
Right. They were expecting those teams would just trip up and fall on their faces, and they didn't.
No, I understand. This is not the finest effort by Tomlin, but I think if you add a quarterback to this team, they're going to be all of a sudden very dangerous.
I know, but how many teams can you say that about, Perloff? I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like that's the whole thing about winning in the NFL.
They're way more. No, I think the Steelers have more talent around their quarterback position than most teams.
Okay, but you don't think that Pickens and Deontay Johnson are good receivers. So who's the
No,
talent?
No.
Freiermuth?
You said great receivers.
Okay, you want to?
I think they're good receivers, but no, I don't think they're Jerry Rice and Jonathan Taylor.
Well, of course they're not Jerry
You
Rice.
said great. They have these two great receivers.
I think they have
and then
the
you
ability.
Just downgraded me to good.
I think they have the ability to be great. I think George Pickens has the ability to be great.
George Pickens is a very talented player, and I'm not so sold. I'd like to get our friend Andrew Filipponi on there to explain what's really going on with George Pickens, because it's a mystery. You look at the Steelers, you're like, why don't they throw the ball to that guy every time? They're not dumb.
No, but then weirdly, and this is why this game felt really stupid last night from the play calling, both sides, by the way, but this is why it felt pretty stupid, is because you're not pushing the ball downfield at all. You're trying these weird reverse, like you try to reverse play.
Well, the first one
worked,
looked great.
And then you do it again on the first drive out of halftime. Like, of course they're expecting it. It went for a 7-yard loss. Anyway.
Well, also, the reason I think the Steelers thought everything was fixed was Kenny Pickett with Pat Freiermuth on the field is a pretty good quarterback. So Freiermuth got back. He was back 2 games, and he was healthy for the Cincinnati game. Like, that was a formula. You could see the offense was moving well.
Sure.
Like, Pickett and Freiermuth have a great connection. And then when Pickett went down, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a good connection, but to me, it's not, Brady to Gronk level of productive. And, every young quarterback loves a pass-catching tight end, obviously.
Especially when you have small hands, you really need to get into that type.
Well,
I just think they thought they had fixed a lot. I think they thought that they were on a rocket ship.
Well,
after Canada got fired, I think the optimism was through the roof.
Well, you lose 2 games to teams who would want to combine 4 games in the span of 5 days. So I think that optimism is probably all out the window. But the other thing, too, about the stupid play calling, as I was saying, the reverses were dumb. When Freiermuth was covered, they didn't know where to go. Trubisky had no idea where to go with the ball. And then on a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 2, and especially the 4th and 2 late in the game, so you're down by 3 points. Like, you have a chance to just get in field goal range, tie this thing up, and then see what happens in overtime. And they have a 4th and 2 where they've already successfully executed a couple QB sneaks. Whatever. You have options here on short yardage. They go for it all. They go for the home run play, probably thinking they're going to get a flag, and they don't. And that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Did the Eagles hit one of these recently? Somebody hit one of those last week. It was a 4th and 1 and a key moment. They hit a bomb. Do you remember?
Yes, but that was, I believe, it might have been Jalen Hurts, who's an MVP candidate.
Yeah, I do.
Not Mitchell Trubisky, who is a former Pro Bowler somehow, some way.
I think they think you don't need to be as accurate when you're throwing it 40 yards down the field. Get some air under the ball.
Yeah. Listen, but they didn't get the benefit of the doubt. The refs were not on their side on that one.
Actually, there is accuracy means less when you're flying down the 50-yard pass. So I have no idea. Yeah, no, the Steelers are a mess. Obviously, they just lost to the Cardinals and Patriots at home. I just think you cannot underestimate the impact of the Kenny Pickett injury. Pickett doesn't get hurt. They beat the Cardinals, and there's no way they let down like this. You're right. The body language was not good.
Oof.
They've completely sort of given up on this team. TJ Watt and Hayward, those guys who are great leaders, they look uninspired.
And did TJ Watt break his jaw last night? I mean, they saw on the sideline the doctors sticking his fingers in his mouth to see if his jaw might have been broken.
He gets hurt. Yeah, that can't slow down TJ Watt. What, are you kidding me?
No, it did not. A little sound, please, shall we? Can we hear a little bit of Mike Tomlin? Not cashing in on the turnovers was the key.
In terms of how the game unfolded, thought the significant difference, they got 7 points off of their turnover. On the short field, we got 0 off of ours. And so that's the difference in the game. And usually it is the turnover component and your ability to support each other on the other side of it, or inability. And that was the difference in the game in terms of the outcome. So that's disappointing.
I totally agree with that.
One reason, sure.
Zappe totally gave that game away. I couldn't believe they let Bailey Zappe throw that pass that got picked, and the Steelers got down to the 10-yard line and then screwed up on 4th down. But they finally got Bailey Zappe to make a mistake, and that was a huge play. I couldn't believe they didn't score there.
So here's the thing, though, about that play. It happened in the 3rd quarter. It happened in the third quarter is when Zappe threw that interception, and then the Steelers turn it over on downs. I'm sorry, the 4th and 2 happened the first play of the fourth quarter. You had a whole quarter to make up for that,
and they won,
couldn't do it.
They won. That game was going so slow. You're talking like it's a normal game. They only had 2 more possessions.
No, they scored a touchdown.
They scored, but if they had
the
scored there, that was heartbreaking for the Steelers when they could not get the ball in the end zone off the Zappe pick. Because it seemed,
but they did score after that to make it 21-18.
Yeah,
and then it was punt, turnover on downs, end of the game.
Yeah, Trubisky took some sacks. Yeah, no, I understand what happened here.
Just brutal.
I think Tomlin, though, does have a good point. Like, they came in and said, oh, we're going to take advantage of Bailey Zappe. And can we give some credit to that dude and to Ezekiel Elliott? I think the Patriots played somewhat inspired football.
I also think the Patriots defense is good, has been good.
Oh, it's great.
And they have major injuries on their defense with no Judon, no Christian Gonzalez, and they still find a way to be super disruptive. I mean, it's still Belichick over there.
And look at the depth chart of their wide receivers last night. That was unbelievable. I mean, was Ty Montgomery running routes? So they have basically non-receivers playing receiver because Devontae Parker was out. It was unbelievably thin. Do we give the Patriots any credit? Because my Patriot friends are really miserable right now.
Oh, this is a terrible win for them.
Terrible
win for them. How dare they win this game? I mean, you're careening towards the number 1 pick maybe. Now, if the season ended today, they still would have the 2nd pick. So that 3rd win, but, we got a whole week to play here.
Yeah, and they look like, oh, my gosh, bad news. They could win another one. Or maybe even 2.
I mean, it should be a meltdown in New England if they win 2 more games. Take them totally out of Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
And by the way, it's now called a Lovie Smith when you win a game at the end of the season to screw your team. But it worked out great for the Houston Texans because they got C.J. Stroud, so maybe it'll work out great for the Patriots. That was my thought process last night. I'm like, well, C.J. Stroud's awesome. So that's who they landed with.
They should cut Lovie a check. EJ, you look like you want to say something about this game.
Yeah, I mean, on the Tomlin front, I know we talk about how bad the offense was in Trubisky and how he kind of sinks the entire team, but this is supposed to be a defensive-first team. And I think we think about Tomlin, we think of defense. How much blame should he get for that? I mean, okay, Trubisky is terrible, and that sucks the life out of the defense. But you're playing against the New England Patriots. You're playing against a Bailey Zappe who's been turning the ball over left and right when he plays.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that just, when we talk about divvying blame, whether or not we have to move on from Tomlin, it just feels like it's a great defense that has a great infrastructure in place. You could probably move on from Tomlin and still find a coach who can get that defense to play well, but maybe advance them offensively. Like, how much is Tomlin at this point holding them back? Because watching them over the last 2 weeks, it just feels like they play football like it's 2005, and everyone else is playing like it's 2023.
Wait, by the way, the defense last night, I think they were shocked when the Patriots came out throwing the ball. They were clearly very surprised.
But that's on Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
that's not an endorsement for Tomlin.
I got to be, but wasn't everybody shocked? The Patriots had not thrown the ball in a month and a half at all. They've just run. And last night they came out like the greatest show on turf. It was bizarre. So, and then Steelers defense settled down in a big way.
They did lose Alex Highsmith, too. Again, he's been kind of in and out of the lineup. 855-212-4CBS. Are you pinning this failure on Mike Tomlin? Are you putting it on Kenny Pickett just being injured?
The quarterback injury, not on Kenny Pickett.
Sure. Quarterback injury.
Well, you're not going to pin this loss on Kenny Pickett. That's what I mean.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing last night. His injury. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots to do, including a very, very embarrassing, cringeworthy moment